Hello! Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. I just ate this kind bar. Apparently. Really wanted to choke me. All right, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm here today, streaming on Twitch and YouTube. Brief stream, brief little stream here. I just watched hold on. I keep forgetting the name of it. $1 Million Secret on Netflix. And I keep thinking it's called Secret Millionaire, but it's not. It's not Secret Millionaire. It's $1 Million Secret. Gotta remember that. So I hadn't really heard of this show until recently, like 2 days ago. And all I heard about it was like, oh yeah, it's like Netflix's Traders, basically. And then I looked it up, and all of the articles about it are like Netflix blatantly ripping off the Traders, and I was like, oh boy. So yesterday on stream, I looked it up a little further, and I looked up like the premise, and I was like, this doesn't this doesn't feel like the Traders. I mean, like, in the general sense, maybe that like you're trying to vote out a person, but like it's pretty different. It's pretty different. I think here's my conspiracy theory. So, okay, first of all, I'm talking about $1 Million Secret. Let me let me pull up like a visual for you. $1 Million Secret is definitely the name of the show. Yes. Okay. $1 Million Secret on Netflix. I won't spoil anything initially. I'll let you know once I get into spoilers. First, I'll just talk about it generally. Much to think of the 25th. So, all I heard about was that all like out of nowhere, Netflix is ripping off the Traders. I Google it, articles. Netflix is ripping off the Traders. No, I don't actually. Stop Google, please. Thank you. So you look at the actual premise of the show, it's not the Traders. You watch the show, it's not the Traders. It's not really even close. My conspiracy theory is that Netflix themselves wanted to do some last minute marketing for this show that they have put zero marketing into. And they have been trying to pitch this as the Traders. And they want articles about how they're ripping off the Traders because the Traders is massively successful. And the best way to market this show is to just say, it's like the Traders, but on Netflix, you know, the streaming service you already have, as opposed to Peacock, the one you don't have. And I think they're hoping that will draw people to the show. And I don't know, it might work. It's like this article from The Independent. Netflix branded shameless for making note-for-note ripoff of the Traders. Critics are not impressed by how shameless this is. But viewers at home have been more receptive. The concept is almost identical to the Traders. It's like, who are you and how much did Netflix pay you to write this article? This is the most promotion this show could have possibly gotten, I think. So the conceit of the show is that there's 12 players. They go to a, I don't know, house, mansion, whatever. One of them is randomly given the $1,000,000. They then do various tasks, which we can talk about in more detail soon. But basically, the goal every day is to vote out the person with the $1,000,000. If you do that, then the $1,000,000 gets given to somebody else randomly. Ultimately, you want to be the person at the end of the game holding the $1,000,000, not voted out. So the way that it's like the traders is that you're voting someone out every round and you're trying to figure out who is the person that's lying, who is the secret millionaire, who like, you know, but you can kind of track that to like who is the traitor, but it's functionally extremely different. I will say strategically, it's kind of like codifying the actual meta of the traders, in the sense that like voting out the millionaire does not do much for you other than redistribute the money somewhere else, which is the same thing that happens on the traders. You vote out a trader, somebody else is just going to take their place pretty much. But because of that, because the game accounts for that, I think it allows for things to get a little more interesting. So I actually think it does a few things better than the traders. One of them is that. The other is that the millionaire is given, I don't remember what a mission of sorts every day. And if they complete their mission, then they get some kind of advantage or ability in the game. So light spoilers, but the first millionaire is given a mission on the first day that if they hug everyone, agenda is what they call it. Thank you, Vortex. If they hug everyone on the cast within a certain period of time, they will get an extra 3 votes, an extra 3 secret votes at the vote that day. And then, you know, so now they're trying to accomplish this secret task throughout the day without being caught doing something weird, which is great. It gives them incentive to like actually do things in a weird way. Then there's some challenges that are pretty consequential. So they compete, and then roughly half of them get sent to some kind of vault or whatever they call it. And at the vault or whatever, they get a clue to who the millionaire is. Now, this really surprised me when I watched the first episode. The clue is extremely significant. Trophy room, thank you, Lady D, in the YouTube chat. The clue is extremely significant. Again, light spoilers here. So far, the clues have been, at least like the initial ones, cutting the field in half, basically. Like, these 5 people are not the millionaire, essentially. So you can narrow it down very quickly. Now that pretty quickly made me think, oh, this is bad news. This feels broken, but it's not. And I won't get too much further without talking more spoilers. But basically that's like the premise. That's how the game functions, and it works. I think it's very fun. So all of those things, I think it does better than the traders. Obviously, the thing it's going to do worse than the traitors is just vibes, and the cast. It's not like reality stars, which some people might like. Laura, thank you, the 45th, 44 in a row. Um, and honestly, the cast isn't bad. I mean, for like a new cast, it's just not like superstardom or anything. Um, and the like editing and storytelling is obviously not going to be as kind of like polished, I would say. Um, but I watched the 3 episodes and it was fun. I enjoyed it, and there are particular aspects of it with how the millionaire changes throughout the game that I think makes it a lot more interesting to watch. Um, I pitched this early on in the traders run, which is that like I think that turnover for the traders is more interesting. The more you get to see players having to perform different roles on the show, the better. I think it's more interesting. You're seeing different dynamics, different personalities, and so the fact that somebody could be like an investigator and then all of a sudden they're the millionaire, how do they react to that? And more importantly, it gives people an actual ability to give like reads. Um, you talk about like reading people on the traders. You can to some degree, but it's very difficult because people almost start the game as traders. So they're acting that way for most of the game. There are some people that get recruited and you can maybe sometimes spot that. But this is like every couple of rounds, theoretically, somebody new has now potentially changed their behavior. And can we spot that? And as a viewer, you can kind of be like, oh, are you acting differently? It feels like you're acting differently now. Don't get caught. So there's some cool stuff to it, I think. I don't know that it will ever like, sir. I think that the I've talked about this before. I think that the key ingredient to making the traders work in the way that it does in the U.S. as being such a massive hit, because for sure it works in other countries. It does well in other countries, but it is a massive hit in the US. And I think that the key ingredient to that is their casting. I don't think that $1 Million Secret will hit that hard. I think in part due to the casting, but also because it just doesn't present itself as seriously. I think that's something that other reality shows need to take note of, is that like they shouldn't be afraid to be serious. Like the traders isn't serious, but it is serious, Like it takes itself very seriously. It still cracks jokes at itself, but the traders doesn't feel trashy in the way that a lot of reality shows do. And I use that term lightly. I'm a reality person, so I don't mean it to be derogatory, but like there's a feel that most reality shows have. That the traders is able to kind of like elevate themselves over. I think that Survivor does a decent job of sort of elevating itself as well. Big Brother certainly does not. Big Brother rolls around in the muck. So that's basically that's the premise. That's $1 Million Secret. 3 episodes out. If I think that's mostly any questions about it, non-spoilers, and then I'll quickly talk spoilers. I've got the BB retrospective for season 13 coming up in just a half hour, so this is gonna be a short one. Millionaires are selected randomly, theoretically. I will say the first millionaire that was selected, I had the thought even before they were selected, and this might have been editing, like pointing me in this direction, but I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense as a first pick. Dorothy, thank you for the 41st. But theoretically, it's random. And it actually makes sense to be random as opposed to the traders where they handpick it, and the meta of that is like kind of ruining the show. Um, this could theoretically swap hands so often that you really could just randomize. There might be an ability in the future to like, be the person to get it, if that makes it. Like there's different ways that they can, add elements to the game where it's like, oh, if you win a certain competition or if you do something in a certain way, like maybe even as the millionaire once, you like win an ability to be like the next time it changes hands, it comes back to me or something along those lines. Like there's different ways you could do that, but that's just me uh, throwing out ideas. Is there any benefit to being the person who's selected to be the millionaire? Not really. So, you get the advantages. So, like for instance, that first one, you get 3 votes. That's pretty big. But it can narrow down on you so quickly that like you kind of don't want to be the millionaire for a little while. It seems so far. It seems like that's kind of the deal. Sarah, thank you for the 27th. Which is just an interesting way to have like the game be played. So, and I will again say that like they account for that fact. Like they kind of know that. Okay, so one final thing on the traders versus $1 million secret. Um, they seem to understand the mechanics of their game in a way that the traders people don't seem to. In the sense that like they understand that it's bad to be the millionaire and they're not afraid to show that that's part of the show. Everyone on the cast is like, oh, I hope it's not me. And then when they get it, they're like, ah, damn it. Ah, damn it. I became the millionaire. Shit. Um, in addition to that, in the first episode, there was a player that said, why don't we just ignore the millionaire and just make an alliance and vote everyone out? It's like, the first episode, the traders hides that so much. So they're like aware of this stuff and they're not afraid to show it. And I think they're confident enough in their game mechanics that they're like, go ahead and try. Heidi, thank you for the 48th. $1 Million Secret is a bad name. It really is. Netflix Blood in the Clock Tower. Yeah. I mean, listen, that's a great format, although a little difficult to follow, to be fair. Anyway, that's sort of like the non-spoiler pitch. If you haven't watched it, I would recommend checking it out. I think it was a fun little 3-episode watch so far. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the episodes themselves. So I'll spoil a little bit more. So if you want to bounce out, now's your chance. Come back to it after you watch all three of the first 3 episodes. That's where I'm at right now. So first episode, they pick Lauren to be the millionaire. I wonder if I can get like an image of she is. They pick Lauren. And she's like the person, at least in the edit, that's like the most worried about being the millionaire. She's like, I don't want to lie. I'm going to feel bad. And Lauren has this like mini arc over 3 episodes that I think is fantastic, which is like, I'm just like a Midwestern mom and I'm going to feel so bad lying. And I'm such a bad liar. And I have moral objections to lying. And then she becomes the millionaire. She has to lie. And she's like, oh, this is so hard. I feel so bad. I'm like using people's emotions to get in, to like hug them because that's my task. And I just feel so bad. And then she survives this first vote. by kind of like turning on one of the people she liked. She comes into the second episode and she's like, yeah, I just feel really bad, but man, I'm pretty good at it, aren't I? I'm pretty good at this stuff. And so the main thing for me at the end of this first episode, they like I said, the clue that they get is that they cut the field in half. There's 12 people. There's 6 people that go into the trophy room, and they each pick one person. And so there's a pool of 6 people that have been chosen. They then discover if one of the people that they chose is the millionaire. So basically, yes or no. It's sort of like a gambler question or whatever it's called in Blood on the Clock Tower, where it's like 6 people on one side, 6 people on the other side. You discover which side has the millionaire. Essentially, is the result. With the slight twist that only one of the people from in the trophy room gets to hear the information about whether or not it's a yes or a no. So basically, it's not completely foolproof because the person could be lying, but there's not a lot of incentive to lie. So when one person comes out and says, I got a yes, one of those 6 people is the millionaire. You basically have eliminated the other 5 people. You could say one of those 6 this is either true information, one of those 6 people is the millionaire, or the person that the information got to is lying, and they could be the millionaire. So now you have a group of 7 people. It's almost definitely one of them. That doesn't quite account for all of it, because it's possible that the person giving the information is lying just to protect their own status. So for instance, if you learn that nobody in that group is the millionaire, but I'm not in that group, therefore this information is incriminating me. I'm not bad. I'm not the millionaire, but I'd rather point the finger at that group than allow myself to be included in a group of people that it might be, and therefore maybe get voted out. The issue with that thinking is that you will always be in consideration anyway. Doesn't matter whether you say yes or no. So it doesn't really make sense to do that at all. And then in addition to that, when you eventually do find the millionaire and it turns out they were in that group, you will be exposed for lying even when you weren't the millionaire, and you will be immediately voted out for being a completely not just useless ally, but actually like actively bad to have. So excluding some like poor decision making, which could certainly happen, you basically cut the field in half. And my immediate thought was like, this is impossible for the millionaire. There has to be a way to give this millionaire status away, because otherwise you're screwed. And then right away in episode 2, Lauren is given the ability to choose her power if she completes her task. And the power she chooses is either she's going to like block a couple votes, or she can, bequeath the millionaire status. She can remove it from herself and give it away to somebody random. So basically, if that's the formula, you just need to survive 2 votes as the millionaire, and then you can get it off of yourself. And 2 rounds is actually kind of asking for a lot, considering how powerful the clues can be. Because Lauren is included in this initial cut in half field. And then in addition to that, her next task is that she needs to like use the names of well-known songs in conversation at breakfast. The clue then after that is that the millionaire completed their task and it was a smash hit. And they were able to figure out, you know what? I heard somebody saying names of songs. I heard somebody saying that. But they couldn't remember who. Like, they came real close. So Lauren kind of barely escapes by the skin of her teeth. But it was very funny because like by the end of this whole thing, she was like, I have them. I'm so good at, framing people. She ends up framing her, one of her closest friends in the game, gets her voted out instead. And then after that person gets voted out, the host is like, all right, well, guess what? The millionaire just moved. And at that point, she comes out and she says, guys, it was me. It's not me anymore, but it was me. And she breaks down and she says, it was so hard. Um, so now she is like a former millionaire and a new millionaire has been named. And people are pissed at her for having tricked them. She made them feel like fools, and now she's crying and like, why does she feel bad? I'm the one that feels bad. But now she has some intel on like how it works to be a millionaire, and that can be valuable for us. So there's all kinds of like different, like interesting kind of strategy going on there. The woman that got voted out second, Si Young, she's the one that suggested that they just make an alliance. She suggested it to Lauren. She was just like, there's more women than men in this cast. Why don't we just team up with all the women, vote out all the men, and then deal with the millionaire stuff afterward? Which was honestly a great idea. You know, if you can actually get a majority together, that would for sure work. But the game, like I said, because the game is so aggressive about giving you hints about who the millionaire is, it kind of more naturally incentivizes you to deal with it, especially because the millionaire gets seemingly like increasingly powerful advantages, you know, if they complete their tasks. And so you might not be able to just leave them alone, and stuff like that. So I still think the game is breakable, and it might be broken by the end of the third episode. There is seemingly an alliance that came together. But it's interesting. Si Young, I think, messes up in the first episode. She's the one that suggests that they all put their own names, people that they trust, in the pool that they think is going to get a yes, that the millionaire is one of them, which ultimately is kind of her downfall. But I I like the way she was thinking about the game at the very least. So yeah, interesting stuff. It's let me see. It's Phil ends up as the second millionaire. And the rest of the group is just like so pissed at Lauren, and they don't like her so much that they're like, I don't care that I know you're not the millionaire. We just want to vote you out now. But because that feels like an obvious alliance, there's a counter insurgence, which is like, this is just good social strategy stuff. There's a counter alliance that gets created to go against this vote, and it ends up as a tie. A 5-5 tie with Philip as the potential swing to make it not a tie with Phil there. But he is like friends with Sydney, the other person they're voting out. And so that it goes to a tie. The host says, we're going to revote. If it's a tie again, then the millionaire breaks the tie. And this Phil guy, apparently does not think through, I think, what I think immediately comes to mind, which is, wait a minute. If the millionaire breaks the tie, then the millionaire will be narrowed down to one of the people that voted in that direction. One of those 5 people. And unfortunately for Phil, the field had already been narrowed down because of the clue. The field had already been cut in half. So by the end of the episode, because he sticks to his vote, he now is one of 3 potential options for the millionaire. And really, it's one of 2 potential options, because one of the options, I think, is the guy that nobody thinks is the millionaire. So the question then is, are they going to metagame it and break the game by saying, whatever, we have a majority now. We know it's Phil, but we can just keep voting out everyone else and then eventually get rid of Phil or whatever. Or do they turn on Phil and ruin their potential majority? Because they should just keep Phil in. there's no reason to vote him out. You don't need to vote him out to get the millionaire status off of him. He might just do a task to get it off of him anyway. And then he's back to just being a loyal ally of yours that's not going to vote you out. Voting you out is the only way to leave. So controlling the numbers is way more important than actually voting out millionaires. At least, so it seems. There's definitely ways that they can influence that based on the abilities that they're giving away and the different ways that they can influence the game. So I'm curious to see if they are continuing to account for stuff like that. But yeah, interesting stuff. I'm definitely curious to see more of it. Another 3 episodes drops, I think, next week. So we'll see. Like I said, I don't think it's gonna like blow up like the traders did, but it's definitely one of the more fun, mechanically fun shows of this sort that I've seen. It's not that, and that's the unfortunate thing is that like it doesn't have the like star power and investment that like something like Deal or No Deal Island or the Traders has. But mechanically, it's more fun to me. It would be very interesting to see how like a field of seasoned vets approached a game like this. Granted, a field of seasoned vets approaches the traders like in quite frankly a strategically less sound way than these players are approaching the millionaire game. And these players are not exactly like at the top of their game. So we'll see. But anyway, that's about it. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'll wrap up. I've got, like I said, about 20 minutes before I go live on RHAP for the Big Brother retrospective for season 13. Season 13, oof. One of my least knowledgeable. This is probably like the last season that I feel like I don't kind of know almost by heart. It's in that kind of like this range from like 9, 11, 13. Those 3 seasons are probably my weakest knowledge wise. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. 14 will be next week. Rachel will not be with me now. I imagine that Brittany showing up for season 12 was kind of like a one-off because she just basically asked to be on. I don't plan to ask guests on regularly. But yeah, that's a $1 million secret, which I need to keep remembering. That is the name of it, $1 million secret. It's a bad name. I think that name kills it, to be honest. It needs a much better name than that. $1 million secret. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little stream, this little video. Come hang out with me talking Big Brother. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all soon.